Jimmy, thanks for having us down today. I'm really keen to have a bit of a wander around and a bit of an understanding of what you do here. But one thing I really wanted to get an understanding of is tell us a bit about the history of the Geelong Race Club and where you fit in and what you know about it, mate.
Yeah, for sure. The Geelong Racing Club, it's been around for 150 years.
Yep.
3 or 4 years ago, we had our 150-year celebrations, and that was a big year for the club. It hasn't always been here at Breakwater, I know that. A little bit hazy on the exact locations, but Eastern Gardens, the track was over that way.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you're in a facility like this that has been here for, over 50 years, you do see a lot of old photos and these sorts of things, and there's photos of old grandstands being moved from Eastern Gardens and rolled on logs over the train tracks, which are just adjacent to the course here.
Yep.
And put up on a parcel of land that the grandstand's not there now. It's sort of been removed probably about 15 years ago, but it hasn't always been in this location. But look, it's a significant club as of right now. It does a lot for the industry as far as holding 26 race meets per year. And probably the biggest thing that we do hang our hat on is the lead up from the Geelong Cup into the Melbourne Cup. It's quite a significant race. And we've really just announced over the last month, it's a golden ticket now. You win the Geelong Cup, you're in the Melbourne Cup. It's a you win and you're in type setup. So mistakenly in the past, people have naturally sort of thought that, but it's really been up to the handicapper to penalise the winner of the Geelong Cup to be able to get into the order of merit to race in the Melbourne Cup. But now it's official that it's a golden ticket basically. So we hope that generates more international flavour to the race, a better class of horse again to race in the Geelong Cup this October the 22nd. But that's been a big player for the Geelong Racing Club over the years to lead up from the Geelong Cup into the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, it certainly would. And what for the Geelong Cup, what's like the maximum field you can hold for that race?
Yep, so that's the one race we can hold 17 horses. Yep. Our barriers are set up for 17, but country meets are 14 max. But for the Geelong Cup, 17's the number. So it has varied over the last sort of decade or so. We've had smaller fields. But of recent years, yeah, we've been well and truly up into the teens. We haven't held 17 in the field, but yeah, around the 14, 15 has been the number. But look, you'd like to hope that being a golden ticket now that we might hold a field of 17.
It's one of the last sort of qualifiers if you're not qualified for it, so
yeah,
you're likely to get a big field on it.
Yeah, you should do. There's a race. We race on the Wednesday, but there's a race on the Saturday. The Moonee Valley Gold Cup is the one that horses target as well. But then following that, you're sort of running out of time.
Yeah.
There are options. You can head to Bendigo Cup, and then also the Saturday before on Derby Day, there's a race there as well. So, but this sort of being near 2 weeks out from the Melbourne Cup, it's just that good sort of final hit out.
Yeah.
And recent years, like last year, one Smooth Operator all the way over from England, raced and won. And look, at generally the horses that do win the Geelong Cup, they do put in a fair display in the Melbourne Cup.
Have you had how many years have you been here at Geelong?
Coming up to 8 years.
So you've done 8 Geelong Cups.
Yeah. Yep.
Has there been a Geelong Cup winner that's gone on to the Melbourne Cup and won it?
No, there hasn't.
No,
and I must say, although I don't have a lot of governance over that winner, it would be something I'd love to tick off, just to say I was part of that.
Yep.
You can just prepare the track as best you can, and look, there's a lot of luck in racing, obviously. Gone close, a horse called Prince of Iran, and also a horse called Emissary, both have run second in the Melbourne Cup, but not quite the winner, which I'd love to say,
hang your hat on.
I was part of that. It has happened, but not for quite some time. I think Dunedin in 2011 was the last time. The year before that was Americane. and then you're going all the way back to Media Puzzle as well, that famous story.
Yeah,
so
yep.
It has happened, it can be done.
So it is a tradition sort of thing for Geelong Cup winner to go on. So
Yeah, for sure.
hopefully this year's your year, mate.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and like I said, they don't always win, but generally they run really well.
Yeah.
Whether it be in the first half of the field or with those two horses I just mentioned, being the runner-up.
Good. And so we've done a bit of walking around this morning, but you also have a training facility on site. Run us through a little bit about the training facility here at Geelong Race Club.
Yeah, so we're sort of quite landlocked here at Geelong in the main roads, residents, the showgrounds. So we're a smaller training facility. We have about 100 to 130 horses run around here every morning, 6 days a week, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. What we sort of pride ourselves in, we can't get any bigger with numbers like your Ballarats or your Southside, Flemington, Cranbourne, all that sort of thing. We can't get to that size, but what we do have is quality.
Yep.
So over the last 8 years, we have upgraded all of our tracks. We've widened our course proper so we can race more here. We race 26 times a year. Nice 27 metre wide track. We can have rail moves right out to 12 metres, which enables us to race so often. Our training grass is about 2 years old, which horses and trainers are always after grass access, so that's a big thing. That track's been unreal for us. It's a Kikuyu track, and we've kept it Kikuyu this winter. Whether or not you can see in the background, it's very dormant as of right now. But that thick cushion of kike can still be used over the winter months.
So you still have winter training. Yeah, good.
Sparingly, but I just feel its key area where we'll have to look after it is coming out of dormancy. I think from potentially September through to November-ish, I reckon limited use, if not any at all, just so it can wake up out of its dormancy and be strong, because from December through to May, it gets hammered. And the best thing about it is the repair work on it and the work we have to do to it is minimal. It might be running a vacuum over it, running some tines through it, cutting it short, picking up some clippings, but as far as walking around and having to fill in holes and that sort of thing, it's not required. And then that leaves our other tracks, a fibre sand track, which is a great track, and our straight sand track. So a couple of tracks with different feels. We do impact or firmness readings on those tracks weekly, and they've got different firmnesses, which is great. The sand track can set a bit firmer, and whereas the fibre sand, you can get some nice give in the surface, and certain trainers like different things.
So the fibre one for training, is that similar to what would be used for the synthetic tracks they race on for race days? Is that similar?
Yeah, to a degree. To a degree. Those poly tracks that you see at Ballarat that they race on, at Pakenham that they race on, they've got a product through them called binder, which sort of holds them together, and that's the holding component of it. With our fibre sand track, the holding component is water, so it's got a sprinkler system, and it gets watered even in the middle of winter every night, sort of 2 a.m. It can vary from 2 hours of irrigation up to 1 hour, depending on the evaporation rate. But its holding capacity is the water. So similar, it's got the fibre through it, mixed through it, and sand. But instead of probably the binder, it's the water aspect. But the great thing about those two tracks, the two sand tracks, horses can gallop on them. So you can get your horses fit by galloping on those tracks, which gives our grass tracks a bit of a rest. You know, trainers aren't crying out all the time, I need grass, I need to gallop, where we've got those two sand tracks for galloping access, which is really good. So the training facility as well, the pool's down there, the horse equine swimming pool, again, gets your horses fit, heart rate up without, putting too much load on their legs. We've got treadmills on site for trainers to use. If rider availability is not there, they can put a horse on a treadmill. We've got a bull ring out in the back corner. Again, a horse can run around over jumps in the bull ring without a rider on its back. Hurdles out in the middle, practice gates. and a couple of jog tracks out in the middle as well.
Yeah,
So
good.
I think the great thing about Geelong and what the trainers love, it's not like Burke Street. It's not busy. There's not horses going here, there, and everywhere. It's a much quieter setup, and it certainly works for our trainers down here.
Yep.
Yeah, as we were discussing earlier, a massive part of my role is relationships, which is, it can be great and it can be not so great. So, but I think I've found out that getting to know all trainers, track riders, stable hands, and becoming involved in them and what they do, it does help. And the biggest thing is to be honest all the time. You can't hide. If you've made a mistake, own it. But certainly some characters that we've got, we've newly acquired. We've got all great trainers on course, but Lindsay Smith's come on course over the last sort of 3 or 4 months. He's been great. We've got a fella called Chris Kelthorpe, which works hard. They all work so hard, and it's great when you see their horses have success because you know how much work's gone into it. But Chris, he's from an old footy sort of background, played high level of footy in Essendon days, and he's got that sort of footy club mentality, bit of a boisterous sort of guy, bit of a lad, calls it as he sees it. But if you strip it all back, he has got GRC blood through his veins. He does really love the club and wants to see the club do well. And like I said, when their horses do well, and they've been trained out of here on these tracks, I think the whole place, staff, trainers, other trainers, people just get a bit of pep in their step and feel good for each other and for everyone here.
So just on that, what is the staff numbers for the club here, sort of thing? How many people are involved in running the day-to-days? So
day-to-day, we would have around 15 to 20 staff. 9 to a dozen of those would be track staff, which I'm really lucky. We've got a great squad that help out with our track. 6 full-timers and 3 or 4 casual staff at times come in, and the 3 or 4 casuals are here after race meets when we are repairing. Moving rail can be a big job, so we get those extra numbers in. Race preparation, sort of 2 or 3 days before races, making sure that all the grounds are neat and tidy and in good condition. And then 5 or 6 office staff, administration staff, led by Luke Rayner, our CEO. And we've got some great people in there, marketing and sponsorship, social media, operations, administration, managers, these sorts of things. So really good squad. Luke's got a culture and a team that is fun and engaging and enjoy each other's company, family first as well. A lot of us have got families, which and Luke's really supportive of those sorts of things. So yeah, really good culture. But then on a race day, our numbers could really flood up to, that could be up to 30 or 40 on a midweek race day, and then come cup time, we're well and truly up into the hundreds.
Yeah, just a lot of hospitality and other
certainly,
stuff.
Security, and all those sorts of things.
Good. So with that, a little bit of racing, you're attracting some big sponsors and celebrities and things like that. Have you your time here, have you come across anyone big of note or interacted with an event with the club that you got a character or a story you'd like to elaborate on?
It's probably just as you mentioned, the characters that come here or the celebrities as such, and being involved in racing, I'm a racing fan. So for the average person, some of the big trainers that probably aren't big names that would be blown away by, but when a Gay Waterhouse comes and wins a Geelong Cup or something like that, that's a massive buzz for me personally. Not so much a story associated with it, but to be involved with those trainers and even the jockeys to a degree, that they're the big things for me that I love, or the big syndicate owners that come here, your Jerry Harveys and these sort of things. They're a buzz for me. On those big days, there's big footballers that do come. I can't really come up with a name that is one outside of another, but certainly just those sort of people that do come to the track. are important and do give you a bit of a buzz
Yeah.
on those big days.
Good, good. So on like a Geelong Cup day, will you get invited into the winners' bar and that? Are you sort of around that type of thing?
My role on any day, really, race day, is really just to be a presence in the mounting yard and the face of the race course or the track and how it's playing, how it's behaving. Approachable, speaking with jockeys on how the track has performed, how does it feel, is the rating that we've put up the correct rating, those sort of things. So, and certainly where we are situated today up in Silks, we have a lot of functions up here, and there might be occasions where I am up here for lunch as a guest on the table or speaking just about the track and certain intricacies about it and how it's playing, most certainly. So I've sort of wandered around everywhere. It can be to get feedback that's not great, but you still have to be, you have to own it. You can't go and hide in your office, although sometimes you feel like you'd like to, or you'd like to head off and walk down to the home turn and just get away. You have to own it, and you have to be there on those days that aren't
and the
going.
face of the track sort of thing.
Exactly. So the owners and trainers bar is a great spot for me to go in and watch a race replay, because the races can look different on TV, and how is there much kickback, and how does it look on TV compared to live or on the big screen. So certainly I do go in there at times and mingle with the winners, and that's an enjoyable part of the job as well.
Good. So again, we walked around and we've seen a couple of things, notably the statue at the front. Is there any sort of story behind that, or have you got something that you could sort of tell us about that?
The statue out the front, the plaque on that is a donation by Darren Lyons, and he's probably a celebrity that used to be around the club a fair bit more when he was the mayor of Geelong. That was a donation from Darren Lyons. But it is one of those clubs where you do walk around and there are little nooks and crannies where you might see a little statue and a plaque attributed to a story about the place. For example, out in the race day stalls, we've still got Americane from 2010 that they wanted particular rubber for the horse, just to have a bit of cushion while it was standing in its stall. That rubber, we left it there. Most of the floor's concrete or a strip of rubber, but this stuff's sort of got a pattern in it that they wanted to use that rubber, the horse from France, and it's still there. So. And
is that in one particular box as such for a race day stall?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So is that one to get for the upcoming?
It's funny you say that. I was talking about One Smooth Operator last year, and the trainers of that horse and the track rider came, and we did a lap the week leading into the Geelong Cup. And because they'd made the effort to come down and look at the track, I said, do you want to come and have a look at the race day stalls and see what you think? And I just sort of said, look, pick your stall. We'll make sure you have this stall for the day. And it just so happened that Americane's stall was the one they wanted, whether it was because it was out of the sun to a degree, it was facing sort of south, out of the northern sun, a little bit protected, a bit of a quieter area, but they got to pick that one, and it might have paid off.
Well, it could be something for the upcoming Cup for those listening. And
that's right.
Interesting. Very good. Very good. So that's a bit about the club and stuff like that, but we'd also love to know a little bit about Jim and what you do. Can you run us through a little bit of a day-to-day or a week of what you do here at Geelong in terms of your prep, your staff and your management? Anything you want to fill us in with.
For sure. Because we do races, I've mentioned a couple of times now so often, a lot of the job on a racetrack can be sort of rinse and repeat to a degree. 26 times a year. So if you take away our renovation period of 6 weeks, no racing, there's 46 weeks there, and we race 26 times. So basically, less than 10 days we're racing. So repairing a track can be a 1-day job. Moving a rail can be a 1 to 2 day job. And then you might hold jump outs in between on the course proper, which again is going to be a job of a day repairing and that sort of thing. And then you've got your race day comes up and you want all your surrounds to look nice, you want your grandstands to be clean, seats clean, all those types of things. So it is quite specific and they're the bulk jobs that do get done quite regularly.
Yep.
But then when we find ourselves with a little gap in play, which is what we're sitting in right now with a little 3-week gap, it can give us time to do little bits of projects and keep my staff sort of a bit of variety in their work and give them tasks, maybe some irrigation jobs that they haven't done before, but we've got a 3-week break to be able to carry out a duty such as, we need sprinklers in this garden bed, boys. How about we go down and do this job, which we've done just recently, put in a complete new garden bed in an area that was near the owners and trainers, looked a bit untidy. Garden bed pulled out, irrigation system installed, and it's a shady area, so we put in like a fernery type area, which has come up really good.
Good.
So that's just an example of having a period where we had a break. We get the staff doing something different to keep them motivated and interested, and they get a heap of learnings out of it as well. So that's pretty much, I'm really lucky to have a great assistant in Lee Griffin that we meet of an afternoon. We plan the next day's program, basically. Who's potentially doing what jobs need doing. We sit down and do that, and then we meet of the morning again, and if there's any changes to that, we can just fine tune and tidy it up. Being a training centre as well, there's quite a few things that can happen out there that require our work, whether it be rails being broken and is down, part of a track's not performing properly, potentially a soft spot. Why is that? Do we have to dig up an area and repair? There's all those sorts of things. So we have to pivot and adjust at times, but generally speaking, that's how the day runs. And then we're planning in advance the race meets that are coming up. Where's our rail positions going to be? We have to have our rail in the right spots for the big meets so we can maximise field sizes, maximise turnover, all these sorts of things. So constantly planning and looking ahead for that. And whilst the repair work, moving rail is always there, when we come into springtime, we've got Geelong Cup coming up. There's a lot of stuff off the track that we start doing, tidying up areas that might have been neglected for the year, like our maintenance yard. Yeah, we just accumulate stuff to a degree. So tying up that, our members' car park or the open space between us and the showgrounds, that now starts to take a fair bit of maintenance, where the sprinklers have to go out on that, turfing some areas that haven't recovered so well, because that facility gets used for certain events during the year. So we sort of need all those areas looking tip-top and for marquees and customers coming in.
Do you have a handle on the total area you look after? Is that sort of, what's the total area?
The total area, I don't think we can probably go, because I might get it wrong.
No, that's fine, yeah.
I might get it. I feel like, I wouldn't even say. I need to know that though, because I get asked that a little bit actually.
Well, and I was just going to go into, so you elaborated a bit before, but you try and do all the work in-house. You don't use contractors for much, or you do use your contractor?
We try and do most of it, but we do have plumbers that we can call on for some maybe major repairs, electricians as well. But when it comes to your landscaping type stuff, turfing, even earthwork sort of stuff, we're quite set up for that. And again, like I said before, even if we're not probably skilled up in that, it's probably best for us to give it a go, because again, the racing game, we probably don't have the variety of work in turf management wise that a golf course might have, as far as different turf surfaces, greens, tees, fairways, roughs, all that. So when it does become an opportunity to do some of those sort of different works, to get the boys enthused and motivated, then we'll jump at it. So that's a key for us, definitely.
Good. Now, that's sort of the day-to-day maintenance side of things. What sort of meetings do you have with management and trainers or any of that? Have you got sort of like weekly, monthly meetings you sort of do?
Yep, so with that staff in-house in the administration area, we meet every Monday at 10 a.m, catch up, and initially it's an informal chat about how's your weekend, but then we go around the table and we find out marketing, what's happening, what are we doing in the social space, health and safety and operations, where are we sitting there, facilities, what's it look like, and we just sort of know the main management part of the business, what everyone's doing for the week, and then how we can work in together. Hospitality as well. That space we were talking about to the north, we've got an expo, this coming weekend.
Yep.
Tiny homes, they have sort of caravans to a degree that are set up more like little houses. So they're using that whole facility. What's required? We need picnic tables down there. We need a couple of areas fenced off because we've laid some seed ready for cut. We don't want all that trampled. So we're sort of all around what everyone's doing, what time the gates need to be open down there for them to access the area. So so that's the meeting of a Monday. Monday afternoons we're already in cut preparation, talking about how ticket sales are going, what's required from that part of it. Obviously my track staff, we're meeting daily. I meet with Lee every afternoon. And then trainers wise, we hold quarterly meetings just to discuss how the tracks are performing, any grievances or any input trainers want to the property that could potentially improve it. So yeah, communication's pretty vital, and the phone is always on for those sorts of things as well. So that's a big part of my role daily, just speaking to trainers, whether it be good or bad, and just trying to assist and make sure that the GRC is a place that they can train horses out of positively and get good results.
Not that we want to talk too publicly about this, but what's the latest or earliest time you've received a call for work and actually accepted it and taken it?
Yeah. Oh, look, track work starts at 4 a.m, so 4:01. It's part of the job. It's part of the job. It could be a text message from a track rider that hasn't found their first lap on a horse to be the way they wanted the track potentially. And that could be for any reason. Maybe the sprinklers didn't work well, or worst case scenario, bank got stuck on, and that's a disaster because the track's probably closed for the morning. It's out of action, which isn't great. It does happen though.
So I know there's obviously requirements for track ratings leading into a race meet, but are you doing them regularly for like trainers and because they are using stuff, or it's not really something that's just done outside of a race meet?
Certainly for those two sand tracks, we do the Clegg Impact Hammer readings, and they're distributed. Look, it should be weekly. Sometimes it can drag out to monthly potentially. But if there was issues with it, I'd hear about it pretty quick that, look, it's feeling a bit firm, this track, for whatever reason. Do I need to drop the power harrow a bit deeper to get more give? But those readings are sent out via email to the database. I've also got a text messaging service to the whole training database, which is nearly every day. There'll be something maybe going out, whether it's in regards to rules and regulations maybe aren't being followed as good, just to give them a reminder, or look, jump out to next Wednesday, let's have nominations in by Monday, these sorts of things. But as far as the grass tracks go, no, there's not really track ratings going out. It's more so probably my nous of what the track will be without doing a track report. But if horses wanted to gallop, say tomorrow, the trainer might ask, how do you think it will be? Or are you going to water tonight? Do you think we'll get rain? And look, I'd sort of give them a rough idea of where I think the track may be at. But as far as track reporting, that's really just the 4 official reports you got to do leading up to a meet during the week, really, 7 days before. Good.
Now, in the turf industry, and probably certainly racing, innovation and technology is moving quite fast. Is there one thing you can sort of highlight in your time that's been a really good improver, or how are you generally seeing technology and improvement? Anything that stands out for you in your time?
Yeah, there's certainly been quite a few things over my 8 years, and I suppose it's just trying new things. Like, I think you can get stuck in the rut or mould of doing the same things, and you might be presenting something that's acceptable and satisfactory by doing all those things. But what I've found I've done is try a few things and just see if they work. I think the only way you're going to find out is if you do give it a go. I can't really say I've done something that's failed and made a complete, I'm never doing that again. because sometimes it can be a bit of a risk. Say if you wanted to try a new bit of technology, whether it be a chemical or a certain fertiliser, sometimes in the turf game, if it doesn't work or it's a negative result, it might take 12 months before it's good again or it recovers based on the seasons and that sort of thing. So it can be a bit of a risk at times, but again, like I said, if you never try, you're never going to know.
Yep.
I'm pretty strong on that saying, if you always do what you've done, you'll always get what you've got. So let's give certain things a go. And for me here, trying different seed blends, that's one that I've been big on trying. Again, whether it's improved my track, hard to say. I can't say specifically it has. It certainly hasn't been a negative. Yep. Even things like using a mower that returns clippings to the soil, which we're currently sort of playing around with now. How does that affect the track? Is it building up a thatch layer? What I have found positively, I reckon returning nitrogen to the plant has been a positive. I think the track looks more vibrant. Fertiliser inputs potentially have dropped off to a degree.
Good.
Speaking to some people, if you're removing clippings and catching them taking off, you're taking away 17% of your nitrogen input. So returning it, maybe that's a good thing. But also, is it spreading poa seed? Is that going to be an issue for me? Is that thatch layer building up because I'm returning clippings? But look, if you renovate strongly once a year to remove that thatch layer, if you're spraying for poa annua so it doesn't spread, well, potentially those two negatives are controlled, so you're okay. So they're just a couple of things that we have tried over the years. Technology-wise, we do head to a lot of conferences and see what is out there. Some of that drone stuff where you can see weaknesses in your track, whether it be pests or dry spots, all that sort of stuff I think is really relevant to identify spots that these sorts of technology can find before the human eye can, could be beneficial. Obviously with that sort of thing comes with a cost, so for us probably doesn't sit well with my budget to be able to do that, but they're really interesting, those sorts of things, if you could put those in place.
So obviously been here a little while, what's maybe your biggest highlight of being involved with the Geelong Racing Club, mate? Is there anything you sort of really good story you could sort of tell? Or?
Yeah, look, the big days are the best days, I think, which mainly being Geelong Cup. I suppose just ticking off little milestones, even our Super Saturday that we have in early January now, which is a city class meeting, that we're going to run that for the third time this year, which I suppose when you get given those meetings, it feels like the industry are saying to you, you're up to scratch, your track is performing well. We have been awarded 4 of their race meets,
awesome,
which is really good. So again, higher quality races, which gets higher quality racehorses here. And again, I don't think you'd get those sort of races if your history of your track wasn't great.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're really good. All the winners of the Geelong Cup, and those days are great. I did enjoy last year with One Smooth Operator. Just the work that went in with a trainer coming all the way over from England to take that massive risk and for everything to go right on the day. It went well. It ran well in the Melbourne Cup, midfield, wasn't disgraced or anything like that, but those days are really good. And this club was lucky enough to win Club of the Year
awesome.
last racing season. So
great.
That's a feather in the cap as well. And there's a lot of, that's not just the track, that's all the hard work that everyone else does as well from a hospitality corporate part of it as well. But I suppose if there's a horse or a story that's great, you want to see horses do well at your track and that have been trained here. And I go back to Chris Calthorpe again. He had a horse called Media Award that won a group race over in Adelaide, a Group 1 race, probably 4 or 5 years ago now. But when a horse does really well, especially at a Group 1 level that's trained here on track by a local trainer, that's sort of something that sits as a good memory for me. It was a great story.
Yeah, excellent, mate. Excellent.
This is our training centre down here.
Yeah.
So we train from 4 a.m. through to 9 a.m. 6 days a week.
That's when they start, eh?
Yeah, and separate trainers lease our stables and use them for training their horses. Danny O'Brien, Lindsay Smith, and then we've got another 4 trainers down along Falmungers Road. Here's some older facilities that we're looking at upgrading. So this place becomes a little bit of a hive of activity from 4 a.m. right through to 9 a.m. Monday to Saturday. On this property, there'd be about 160 horses.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which is pretty small compared to some of your bigger training centres, Flemington, Southside Racing, Ballarat, these sort of places. So today's Thursday. Thursday's generally a gallop day. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't seem to be sort of doing too much.
Not real fast
Yeah.
stuff, no. It depends, because racing's every day of the week now. Horses, like it used to be Tuesday and Saturday, your gallop days for racing. Sometimes, you know, we might miss a few spots, like a divot that's been kicked out.
Yep.
So we'll come behind after this is done and just remove that stuff, get it off, just so it doesn't become part of the organic matter.
So that's all manually done.
It's all
You don't
manually
do-
done. Yeah.
Is there anything you could do to broom it and sort of flick it, or do you use a rake of that?
Yeah,
or something
straight
like
after the
that?
race
Yeah,
meet, the rakeback goes
and that
round.
gets most of
That
those
gets
divots.
most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, picks up a lot of it. So I might miss the odd one like that on the Monday after a Friday race meet, and literally pick up every divot and put it back in the holes. It'd take a whole day, and then you got them going around on that dirt cart again for another whole day. Well, I don't know if you could sense the morale this morning, but it was a bit flat. Because they were on it all day yesterday, and they've just got the straight to do today, which isn't too bad, but the weather's shit.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But if you could imagine, so they've finished stomping yesterday, and now they're starting afresh and got to do the whole patching for 2 days. I just had to get it out of our program, and I think the rakeback sucking all that stuff up, so they just come behind, fill holes, rather than doing that stomping. It just works so much better, and I reckon the track's been better for it.
Good. So we're just sort of starting to move towards the end of our time with you, Jim. So I wanted to, you've been here for 8 years. If you can maybe just elaborate on where Jim started as a turf manager. How did it all kick off for you in this industry, mate?
Yeah, for sure. I think leaving school for me, wanting to work outdoors was a big thing. So I think I went to TAFE. Well, footy was a big thing for me, and whatever worked in with footy was the priority. So I think I did a TAFE course in horticulture, but when I went to the Gordon and was studying horticulture, I saw this turf management aspect of it. I thought outdoor, turf management, but then sport as well. That was the big clincher for me. So those 3 things, to be able to combine those, got me into the industry pretty much. And yeah, started off Swan Island on an AFL traineeship and dipped my toe in there, and it sort of never looked back really.
Yep.
Worked at some great places in golf, even bowls, and then racing as well. So yeah, it's been really good.
If you can, just tell us which clubs or places you've actually worked at.
Briefly. So starting off AFL traineeship Swan Island.
Yep.
So 12-month appointment there. At the end of that time, there was an apprenticeship available, which I missed out on, devastated. But I went into that interview and said, I don't care if it's golf, bowls, whatever, I just want to be in this industry. So I ended up heading off to the Ocean Grove Bowling Club.
Yep.
Did my apprenticeship there, had a great boss, Ian Latham, and it's just the 2 of you. So you're in each other's pockets, it becomes part of your life, nearly best mate actually.
Yep.
Taught me a lot, and a fine turf surface that's stressed out to within an inch of its life in the middle of summer. So that takes some pretty serious turf management skills. And then from there, 13th Beach was getting built, and new projects have always been something that excite me to a degree. So was able to transfer across there for the last few months of my apprenticeship at 13th Beach. Beach course was built, and then we built the creek course. So being involved in construction there was pretty cool. I was able to head over to Moonar Links
Oh, yeah.
to work an Australian Open during that time, just for 6 weeks. And then again, wanting to sort of expand, met a guy from St Andrews, went over to St Andrews in Scotland, worked an Open in 2005. Tiger Woods, shot the lights out and
awesome.
was part of that squad on the old course at St Andrews. And then, back to 13th Beach, but that's when I sort of changed my thinking, and I knew Danny O'Brien was building a new facility up the road, a horse trainer, blank canvas, 160-acre property, built a new facility, which was great to be involved in. I was there for 9 years, built grass tracks, sand tracks, stables, yards, all that sort of thing. And then this came up. I never saw myself as being a track manager.
Yep.
Loved my job out there, and Danny's on course here. We're still close and have a good relationship. But it was probably time just to take a punt.
Yep.
And the job here came up, and I took it on. And look, early on, I wasn't sure if I'd made the right decision, because it can be challenging. Any management position, I think, can be a bit lonely at times, and can be a bit tough when you're not sure if you're doing the right things, or you're not sure if you're doing a good job. But I suppose you find your feet after a while, and it's coming up to 8 years now, so it's pretty crazy.
Beautiful. So I will just get to a bit of outside of work, the Jimmy story, but just before I do, so you've obviously loved the turf industry, you've experienced a whole number of it, and you'd say it's a positive industry to be in, but any mentors or any sort of people along the way that resonate, or that you'd like to talk? You mentioned Ian sort of thing. Is there any other people that sort of have really stand out in your career in turf?
Yeah, well, probably. There's lots, but I suppose the places that you spend a lot of time at, and Ian, obviously, at the bowling club in Ocean Grove, who I still see and we catch up, but Steve Hewitt at 13th Beach, who's still the superintendent there, he taught us a lot, a great leader, and has done some wonderful things there. And then you can even speak about your schooling, where you went to school, and we were talking earlier, Peter Fitzgerald, he ran the turf management course when it was at Parkville there, before it went out to Parkville, before it went out to out north of Melbourne there.
Yeah, it's somewhere else now. It's
it starts with F.
Fairfield.
Fairfield.
Yeah.
So he's a mentor that I look back on as well, and he taught me a lot as well. So probably those three guys, and even your first boss, Fibbles, Rod Fenton at Swan Island. These guys, and we still catch up. The turf industry guys for a Christmas do.
Good.
In December, and you see all those faces again and catch up. So it is a great industry.
All right, and just quickly to finish on the turf career, anyone you went to trade school with that's still in the industry in big or decent roles that sort of note that people would recognise?
That's a good question. I can't say so. I'm still mates with a lot of them actually, but some have moved on and some are in finance. No, but look, some of those big names that we visited their courses, Prosser and these sort of guys, Lee Yanner over at Moonar Links, these sort of guys, they're all still in the industry and are great leaders. So as far as my schooling though and my class, I can't say there's a big name in there, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, very good. Good. Now, so just lastly, I'd love to finish on, I know there's a bit, like you mentioned before, footy, whatever worked around footy you were going to run with.
Yeah.
Just fill us in on your sporting career or what you do outside of work that you've had some history with.
So probably the turf management, I was lucky enough, being at the Geelong Footy Club as a sup list player, they looked after their players and got them jobs. So that's what started me off. So I had played at Geelong on the supplementary list, which was a top-up list. Played a full year there. Look back in 98, it's a long time ago, but look back on it fondly. That's when you were part of the AFL regime. You all trained together with the seniors and that. So some big Geelong names were still getting around then. Your Lee Colberts, Mickey Mansfields, Brad Scholl, these sort of guys. They were grand finalist, players. Gary Ayres was coach, so pretty full on. I was pretty cooked by the end of it actually, mentally, and after that my contract wasn't renewed, so I just wanted to go back to Ocean Grove, and timed it perfectly with Mark Neild coming down there, who went on to coach at big AFL clubs. We won 4 flags in a row, which was unreal. Had that year or two off when I went to St Andrews, but then back to Ocean Grove, and that's sort of where I still live and a part of today. The community, and your kids come through and you are involved in the footy club as a coach or a coordinator to sort of put back in.
Yep.
Because playing footy was pretty easy. It
Yeah.
was pretty good fun. So the hard stuff's off the field and doing those admin sort
Yeah.
of things. So you do sort of find yourself putting back in.
Good, good. So in your time, who's the best footballer you've played with or alongside or whatever?
Yeah, it'd probably start from being at Geelong there. Probably, I'm a big Bulldog supporter. Even when I was at Geelong, I still love the doggies. So when we played them and I had the job of tagging Nathan Brown, that was a highlight for me, and it still is. Like, you know, that was during that period where we were playing in prelims and the doggies were going pretty good. So, yeah, that's a player that I played with. But those guys I mentioned before, you know, your Bluey McGraths, Johnny Barneses, all those sort of crew, they're pretty good footballers.
Stories. We won't get into footy trips, might be another time sort of thing. But I'm sure you're modest about it, but how did you go on Brownie? Did you hold him?
It was a tagging role and I did hold him.
Good.
But look, I had none of the football either. I suppose that was my biggest asset was fitness and probably determination. So look, whilst he didn't have much of it, either did I, but I seemed to have won. That was my job. So that was a positive. But yeah, outside of footy, running something that I'm pretty passionate about as well. So that's where that was a strength of mine in footy. It was being able to run a lot.
So marathons and things like that?
Yeah, done a few.
What's your best time?
2:36.
Geez, that's impressive.
Did a 2:36. So yeah, it was 5 or 6 years ago. I sort of feel like if I really trained, I could get back to that. But it's finding the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of hours in marathon running.
You've got your kids that they're the priority and getting to training and making sure they're all good. So to try and do that time again, I think that's past me.
Well, sub 3 hours, that's impressive. And 2:36, that's really good
well, I train pretty hard. 100K weeks
Yep.
for training, and really even dieted well and that sort of thing, which that's all gone now. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, good. No, excellent. Very good. Well, unless there's anything else, Jim, really thank you for your time, mate. And appreciate you having us down here at Geelong.
Yeah, no, appreciate you coming and getting for me to share a bit of the GRC and myself in the turf industry and that sort of thing. It's great, and I appreciate you coming down and being part of it.
Awesome, mate. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Cheers, Jim. Thank you.